So the modern American commercialized version of Halloween.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
get it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem?
Right. And this is where I think people can get really caught up.
This is the age-old question, I guess. What's the issue?
I think the issue is people either going to. I think you're right. Like, do we judge something based upon how it began, or do we judge it based on what it is now presently?
Right.
Because I do think those two things are different, and I think they matter. So if I'm sitting there and I'm judging, if I'm sitting there and I'm judging this based on how it possibly could have begun, right? Like, in other words, it began with a pagan festival that was celebrating a Celtic New Year, the end of the harvest season, beginning of winter, and there's all these pagan rituals associated with it. And then, if I'm judging it based on those roots, I'm going to go, no, I don't want anything to do with it. Right? Now, if I'm a Catholic and I'm judging it on the base of All Hallows Eve, I'm going to embrace the spiritual dynamic part of it. Right? If I'm just if I'm a Protestant Christian and I'm going to church and a lot of people in the church are going out and participating in the, kind of the commercialized present day, this is what it is, Halloween, where we dress up in costumes and we go to families and friends' houses. I don't know if that's the most harmful thing in the world.
Okay. So
I'm not going to sit here and go, you know what, you shouldn't do that. But I think it's also up to the conviction of the parents, of, hey, we're going to take our kids doing these things, or we're not going to. And a lot of times parents will draw those lines of like, all right, we're only going to go to family and friends, and we're only going to dress up in these type of costumes, so they're setting kind of standards, if you were. And but to your question, like, what's the big deal with the commercialized American version of Halloween right now? In a large way, there is no big deal of it.
Okay. I
mean, just being honest. For a Christian. For most, yeah.
Okay.
For most Christians in most places. Again, if I'm in Salem, Massachusetts, that's going to look very different, right? But if I'm just in a rural town in Georgia, they're not thinking about witches and they're not thinking about the satanic. And there may be those that are Satanists and are in, witch covens somewhere, maybe even in our area. I don't know. But like for most people, that's not on their radar. That's not their thought process. They're just, let's go have some fun with the kids. I'm not throwing shade or blaming them for that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Why is that not the line that you have, and let's do a fall festival at church is the line that you have?
Okay.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like, what is it about participating in the normal thing that everybody does, different than this separate other thing that we do? Like, why separate yourselves that way when there's nothing really harmless about it?
Yeah, like, so because I think what the fall festival does is it provides a space for everyone in the church to come to. Because you've got some people in the church that are going to go out on Halloween and, participate, and, their kids are going to dress up like princesses, and they're going to go out and trick or treat, and they're going to do all that stuff, right? There's others in the church that have a conviction that say, no, we're not going to do that. But if we create an environment at the church, fall festival, hayride, eat hot dogs, destroy Pastor Joseph in the face with pies and play all these different games, it gives everybody a chance to come together. Okay. And so I think that's really part of it.
No matter what anyone's convictions are.
Right.
Going out on Halloween.
Because like some people are going to wear costumes, some are not going to wear costumes. Like it's just a very kind of more open space, and it really is, because it's a couple weeks later. It's fairly detached from the actual Halloween.
So it's not a we feel better than you festival.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's a space where
I feel like that's the way it comes across.
Okay. And it may for some people, but I think for a lot of churches, they just view it as an outreach opportunity. So in other words, hey, you can come to because I think there's a growing concern. I think this is a real concern among parents of, I don't want to just send my kids just wandering through neighborhoods to strangers' houses.
Right.
Like there's like a legitimate concern about doing that for the kids' safety and everything else. And so I think churches have taken that opportunity now to say, hey, you can come over to us, and we'll have, a trunk or treat or fall festival or whatever it may be. Your kids can get candy. Your kids can have a good time in a safe environment. And so I think churches have begun to use it more as an outreach tool. And though we're doing it in our church, we do it really for our church family to all come together and have a good time. It is simultaneously a good outreach opportunity too, But again, ours is so far afterwards. 2 weeks later, there's not really as much of a direct connection to that, as far as like an alternative. Where other churches will do it on that night,
Yeah. And
it really is geared as an outreach, for families to come to this church where they know their kids are going to be safe and the food and the candy you're going to get are safe and those kind of things.
Okay, so what do you think, where's the line on what should celebrate for Halloween for Christians?
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about adults going to the adult parties. Is that bad? Or is that just a party where people are dressed up?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think a lot of those adult parties can be bad.
Okay.
Right? Because it turns very sexual and sensual, and I just, I don't think there's any need for a Christian to walk into that environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
now, okay, let me preface that though. Like, not every adult party looks that way, right? Like, there's some, but you're going to get together with family and friends, and it's not that way at all.
Yeah.
And so you're getting together with family and friends, and it's a costume party, and you're getting dressed up. Okay, cool, right? Like, and so I think it really depends on the environment that you're going into.
Okay. So how would I know if I was getting into if I was doing Halloween but then also getting into something that was actually witchcraft or satanic? Like what would be the crossover there?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you go to a party and you think it's going to be fairly, fairly nebulous, like whatever, like we're here having a good time, and all of a sudden a Ouija board breaks out, right? Like, I think there's like certain specific signs of that. And so that, like, okay, I'm not going to deal with the occult kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
I'm not going to deal with chants or whatever that people may have that they're like, hey, and they think they're being funny with it or whatever, but like, hey, everybody, let's, do this together. And like, no, okay, we're not going to do that. And we're actually going to leave right now.
Okay.
I think there's wisdom in where we're going and what we're doing. And hopefully you should be able to discern the difference between light and darkness,